Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Game Week 33. It's team news time as we look for the latest injury and team news developments with our Fantasy Football Scouts editor Neale. Neale, welcome. How are you?
Good, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I've actually been off for the past few days. So, caught up on Thursday's team news, which was happily covered by Tom. So, thanks to him for that. And I've been across the other 15 press conferences that we've had today. So, I think we're in a good position.
Okay, before we go on, welcome to those joining us early in the live chat, including Rodreb, Marco, and Omar, who's joining us for the first time for the live video here from California. Well, I hope the weather's better in California, which I assume it is, than here. It's raining in the west of England. Just a reminder, do press that like button, does help us out, and do remember to subscribe, keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts. Of course, this is a double game week, but we're not going to focus on the double fixtures within that, the ones towards the end, because we won't know what the team news development of that, because they're all got to play the first time first. So we'll just do those initial fixtures. Okay, Brighton against Brentford. The battle of the gambling owners against Brentford and Brighton. What's the latest from Brighton?
Yeah, good news actually from Hurtel this morning. Mitoma's back for starters. He missed out on game week 32 with a heel problem. Van Hecke's back as well. He was suspended last weekend. Jason Steele, he returned to action in midweek for the under 21s, and he's available as well. And even those that aren't available yet, will be, or some of them anyway. So Hurtel says that a couple or three of them actually of the rehabbing players are towards the end stage of that and will start training next week. So we think those are Veltman, Lamptey, and Ego, according to the Argus as well, the local paper. And Hertzler says there's even a chance that we'll see Milner and Kallioglou before the end of the season.
Wow.
I think it's Rutter and Webster. He previously said maybe out for the rest of the campaign. They seem to be the longest of the injuries.
Okay, and what's the latest from Brentford then?
Brentford, yeah, much the same. I don't think there's any fresh concerns. Thomas Frank said Ego, Thiago, and Aaron Hickey are getting closer, but neither of them featured for the B team in midweek, which is usually the first step towards building minutes and match fitness. And they weren't involved, so we're not expecting to see them this weekend. There was the likes of Rico Henry, Matthias Jensen, and Gustavo Nunes. They were all involved in that glorified kickabout on Monday, and they got match fitness building minutes with the reserves.
Okay, let's move over to Crystal Palace against Bournemouth. Lots of chat about Mateta recently. Hasn't been performing so well. Was criticised for not winning aerial duels a match or so ago. But he was confirmed fit to start for the last match. What's the latest from Glasner this time around?
Yeah, he's gone one better. And not only is he fit to start, he will start, according to Glasner. And now I should say I'm getting this quote off the Palace website. I've not actually seen Glasner's presser yet, so I'm trusting this to be verbatim. But according to the Palace website, he said that it was just a case of minute management, taking him off early at Newcastle because they were 5-0 down at the time. And he will start again tomorrow. So that's good news if you own Mateta.
Okay, well, good news. Good news if you want 1 point and then get withdrawn at 50 minutes. But nevertheless, as for Bournemouth, Cliver was in loads of teams, but obviously been removed with his injury. But will he be back?
He could be, yeah. According to Iraola this morning, if he trains and he comes through training, and then he should be available. And he's the only one they're expecting back because Sinisterra's not quite ready to return. Christie and Unal are out as well. Just quickly revisiting Palace actually because we covered Mateta there. We didn't mention anybody else. But the fact of the matter is there's nobody else. It's just the long-term injuries. Riyadh and is it Doucouré? I think it is. Yes. And other than that, no fresh concerns because Eze was taken off early, wasn't he? And as well as Mateta, but all good on the fitness front.
Okay, let's move over to Everton hosting Manchester City. We'll go with the home side first because I know there's quite a bit to discuss for Man City. But the latest from Everton.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think it's just three out: Mangala, Lindstrom, and Calvert-Lewin. There was a few quotes from Moyes on McNeil if he's ready to start yet. He says he's closer to doing so. So he's been off the bench in the last couple of games. And Seamus Coleman, who wasn't in the matchday squad last week, it was just a case of excessive numbers and he just couldn't make the final 18.
Okay, rightio. And as for Man City, yeah, it seems to be quite a lengthy update from Man City.
It was, yeah. I mean, he's not known for providing much detail, Pep, and that was again the case today. But he did at least tell us that Edison is not ready for tomorrow.
Ooh,
He's got this niggling groin injury, which reared its head last weekend. He didn't mention anything beyond that, though. So he just said, "I don't know," when asked if it was a longer term problem, and that the trip to Everton
okay,
he wouldn't make. But of course, they do have another fixture in game week 33 against Villa, so we don't know if he's going to be back for that. I would suggest not. Erling Haaland, we've seen him jogging this week, but he's not ready either. And Pep actually said for the next games, plural, he will not be ready. So we're not going to see him in game week
okay.
33 either. Foden and Akanji are two players we might see. Foden's back in training as of Thursday, and he's going to do a second session with the group today. Akanji's had, I think, a couple more training sessions, but he's been out longer than Foden has. So they're going to see today if Akanji can be involved, and the same with Foden. Does sound pretty positive on both of their fronts.
Okay.
Ake and Stones are getting better, according to Pep, but not there yet. And Rodri is still out as well.
Okay, so it sounds like we may see Foden, Kanji as substitute appearances at best, really. I can't see them
Yeah,
starting.
I would say this weekend, I would say, yeah, on the bench. And then possibly for the second game week 33 fixture, because that three seeds an FA Cup semi final as well, you might see a bit of rotation there. I know
Okay.
the top tilt at the Champions League places is on the line as well, but a fair bit of minute management I think you'll see over the coming week.
With your predicted lineups, there's quite a few with Savio or Savinho in their teams, but also looking to bring in KDB. I know I was on the FPL
Mm,
Generals show earlier today. He was,
yeah.
well, I mentioned it to him, and suddenly it was like a red rag to a bull. He was like fully behind it. But yes, what's the likelihood of them starting one or both?
I mean, you couldn't see. I think definitely you're going to get one for KDB. I would think you'd get one game. If I had to guess, I would say the Everton match because it's a deeper block. You know, you're going to need someone like De Bruyne to unpick that park bus that Moyes plays. Villa is going to be more end to end. You'd think more transitional player,
Okay.
and it comes a couple of days before the FA Cup semi final as well. So I wouldn't put any money on anybody starting both. As Luke said, and Luke is the best person around for predicted Man City lineups, one of our Israel colleagues. He said Pep's in full-on trackhead mode. So played McAtee from the right last weekend. He's been given O'Reilly starts.
Right.
He's playing with that. KDB's been playing as a false nine with narrow wingers. So there's a lot going on there, and you wouldn't like to second guess any kind of minutes. Like Marmoush is just the one who's going to get you the most, I think.
I think many people are looking to captain him this week. Okay, let's move on to West Ham Southampton. West Ham asset, well, particularly Bowen, and their defensive assets are in demand for those bench boosting this week against Southampton. So, what's the latest from West Ham?
Yeah, one of those players who manages to make me bench boosting, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, as luck would have it, he is a slight doubt.
Ah,
But he's had an injection in his toe, and Potter says he should be okay for the game, although I did say we'll see at the end of that. So a slight concern over him, because I know some people will have brought him in with Southampton fixture in mind. They're still without Somerville and Antonio, but apart from that, and we think Cresswell as well, he's got a muscle issue. But
okay.
apart from that, everyone's okay, and Potter says we'll have a full squad.
Okay, Southampton, can they score in this one? What's the latest from them?
Yeah, we just like bench boosters look. If they did, Flynn Downs is back from suspension. He's had a two-game ban. Paul Onuachu, who's one of the bigger goal threats, and I use that term very loosely. He had to come off at half time last weekend. I think it's this niggling ankle issue, and they're going to make an assessment on him. Gronbach's still out as well, but I think that is pretty much it.
Okay, right here. Let's move on to Aston Villa against Newcastle. Latest from Aston Villa in amongst this congested period where we are seeing rotation, but they've got their B team, one of the few teams where their B team pretty much as good as their A team.
Probably, you'd say, arguably in terms of depth, the strongest squad in the
Yeah,
division, really,
yeah.
and especially so when they've got a fully fit squad, which is the case going into Game Week 33. The last man left in the physio room was Leon Bailey, and even he was back
All
for that
right.
Paris Saint-Germain game. So everyone is available, which
Okay.
really doesn't help with the predicted lineups.
No. So Rogers probably the best for minutes. Tielemans as well.
Tielemans as well,
You would
yeah.
imagine
Martinez.
Asensio should get probably maybe start the next one because he was benched last time out, and Marlon maybe could get a start. But yeah, it's tricky to predict. Who are you predicting starting out of those attacking players for this game?
I haven't done the predict lineups yet, but talking to Tom, obviously, who's our resident Villa fan, and he owns Asensio, so he's got a vested interest in this. And he says that neither of them are really Asensio type games.
Okay.
Given the magnitude of them. And the fact is now that the focus is on, as well as the FA Cup final, which is next weekend, semi-final, sorry, focus is now not on Europe because they're eliminated from the Champions League. So I think you'll go back pretty strong from now on. And as you say there, Rogers is going to be the man, I think, with
Yeah.
Tielemans just behind him.
Okay.
But it does sort of, I think that elimination lessens the risk in the medium term as well because they could have another double going into game week 36 as well.
What does Tom mean by not an Asensio game?
I think, well, Newcastle and City, sort of two sort of quick transitional teams can hit you.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Asensio is better against sort of lower blocks and
Okay.
finding those tight spaces,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe I think sometimes Emery plays like McGinn as a 10 or Tielemans as a 10 when he wants to
Yeah.
sort of shut things down and congest the midfield.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
right. Yeah.
wouldn't hold
Okay.
out too much hope. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm worried.
I should say, Tom is doing a scouting the doubles article for the site,
Uh-huh.
which is going to go online tonight around about 10ish. So if you want
Oh,
an expert view on Villa, that's the article to read, and he knows more about Villa than I do. So
right.
definitely read that.
I'll be reading that, and I urge other people to. Whatever Villa assets you've got. Newcastle, what's the latest there?
Yeah, I can be a lot more confident about Newcastle's predicted lineup because they've kept exactly the same team for 6 games in a row in all competitions. Injury-wise, Botman's making quicker than expected progress in his recovery, but not quite in time for this one. Could be back as soon as game week 34, though. He's on the grass already. Lewis Hall and Lascelles there, obviously a lot further behind him. Hall's out for the season. Lascelles possibly as well. That is it because Willock came back from a concussion midweek. Gordon was back last weekend, and I would not be surprised to see yet another unchanged team.
Righty, okay. Let's move on to Fulham against Chelsea. Tough one to predict this one, but what's the latest from Fulham?
I really fancy Fulham for this one, to be honest, because they've got a good track record of beating the so-called bigger teams, and they're on home soil. And Chelsea just been beaten by Legia Warsaw. So Fulham's team new wise, they're in good shape. Reece Nelson's the only one out, and he's long term. Harry Wilson's the newest player back. He's in team training. He's had months on the sidelines with a foot problem, but he's going to be involved as well.
Okay, and as for Chelsea, not a lot of interest in Chelsea's. People, in fact, looking to get rid of their assets, I would imagine, especially with their tough fixture run, starting with this tough game here. So, but yeah, nevertheless, what's the latest from Chelsea?
Yeah, Palmer's coming up my team this week, I can tell you that. Not much in the way of team news. Lavia's back. That's one update we've had from Maresca. And this was a press conference held last night in the aftermath of that Conference League game. Mark Dew, Fafana and Kellyman, they're still out as far as we're aware. And Mudryk is still suspended. Most of the quotes from the press conference were about Palmer and Jackson and their form. Um, and he did say that we as well as badly as they did last night, the lineup was taken with a view to the Fulham game in mind. So they rested Enzo, Caicedo, Colwell, Chalobah, Madueke, Neto. They took Palmer off after 58 minutes. They took Jackson off at half time.
Right.
So they are very much looking towards that Fulham game with that lineup.
Okay, let's go with Ipswich against Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal's team is going to be the headline news with a double coming up. But Ipswich, we'll just go with them quickly first. What's the latest there?
Jaden Philogene out with an MCL injury, unlikely to feature again this season. Hutchinson's still out with his hamstring problem as well, and Calvin Phillips, who I think either missed out last weekend or came off, I can't remember which, but he's also unavailable. Burns, Ogbeni, Muric, and Schmodic, they were already out and remain so. Liam Delap, he was only a substitute last weekend. He came into that game with a knock, but he has trained. However, McKenna again said he'll need to be assessed, so it sounds like a bit of an ongoing niggle for him. But he is now past the yellow card threshold, which is the case for everybody now after 32 league games.
Okay, right, yeah. And as for Arsenal as well, yeah, will SAKA start this one?
My early prediction, which I might change when I've seen all the jump the wave submissions, would be manage minutes against Ipswich and then a start against Palace. I think that would be my best guess because I
Okay.
think that Palace game is their last game before the semi-final
Yeah.
against PSG. So I think he'll go full strength for that. If you're clinging on any kind of hope for two starts, he did say Arteta this afternoon that the form of Newcastle and the sort of narrowing gap the teams behind them have changed the perspective significantly. He said so they need to start to step up and win games. So that does sort of bode slightly well for stronger lineups, I think, in the Premier League in the next two.
Okay.
Whether that extends to two starts for SAKA or not, I'm not sure. Team news wise, Jorginho's still out. He's one of those who could have started if Arteta did rotate. Calafiori unlikely to return, but is close. So not for Ipswich, but beyond that, he's already on the grass. And they're very much looking towards the semi-final, which is after game week 34. So he could be back for that second double game week fixture this week. Jesus, Gabriel, Havertz, Tomiyasu, they're still out, obviously, longer term ones. Havertz could be back for the end of the season. And I think that is it.
Okay, right, yeah. Let's move on to Manchester United against Wolves. I didn't see the game last night, but I saw the score and I couldn't believe it. So Manchester United fans must be breathing a sigh of relief. It was, a lot of flurry of last-minute goals for them to win that one. But what state are they in after that?
Yeah, well, now this is a good time to be a Wolves asset owner, and much as they had a convenient meeting with us last weekend when Spurs were right in the middle of that Europa League double header, they've got Manchester United less than 72 hours after they played, 120 minutes
Yeah,
in extra time. And Amarim's already heavily signposted in rotation.
right.
He says even players like Darlow, and he starts every match, Darlow does.
Yeah,
They are always ready, but today he was really tired. So we're going to try and save the ones who are at risk of injury. And he's talking about playing people like Aiden Heaven, Amas as well will probably come in. So I think there's going to be some serious rotation.
okay.
Lindelof and Mazraoui, they're both expected to be fine. They both had personal issues during the game, apparently. I don't know what they were, but apparently personal issues cropped up during the game for both players. So,
Oh,
but they should be all right. Xerxes' season's over. If you hadn't seen already, that was announced this week, along with Martinez. And we think De Ligt's still out, along with Collier, Evans, and Ahmad.
okay. As for Wolves as well, what's the latest there? And also, will Cunha get a start?
He might do this week. We knew he wouldn't last weekend because Pereira had announced in advance that he was going to keep the same starting 11. Now, I still need to watch Pereira's press conference, but what I have seen of it so far is that Bellegarde is one of the three who are going to be assessed. Now, Bellegarde could be the man to make way for Cunha because he's playing in that supporting striker position, one of the two sort of floating tens. So it's Bellegarde, Doherty, and Juan Hee-Chan. They're all going to be assessed. None of them have serious injuries, according to Pereira. Bellegarde and Doherty were taken off as a precautionary measure last weekend. So there's a possibility that Cunha could come in for Bellegarde. Pedro Lima and Sam Johnson are training individually, but not for the squad, so probably they're going to miss out. And then there's the longer term ones like Mosquera and Chiwobi and Gonzalez.
Okay, rightio. Let's move on to Leicester against Liverpool. Good matchup for Liverpool assets. We'll go with Leicester first, but then some big news from Liverpool. So, let's get Leicester out of the way.
Yeah, and a further boost for Liverpool. Wood Fice is back for Leicester. So he's in training and in contention, along with Jeremy Monger as well, the very talented teenage winger. They missed out last weekend, but are back. Buonanotte is available as well. He couldn't face Brighton because he was on loan from them. And that only leaves the long-term absentee, Abdul Fattah, and even he's back on the grass, but not yet ready for a playing return.
And as for Liverpool, some big news around Alexander Arnold.
There is, yeah. I don't imagine many will be rushing out to get him just yet, but it does have a potential impact on Conor Bradley, who some managers may have brought in.
Oh, yes, I have him
last week.
Yeah.
It started off very well against West Ham, and to be honest, I think he'll get enough minutes against Leicester to hopefully bank that clean sheet. But Trent's should be involved this weekend, but only as a substitute at best. So Slot said this morning that he's not ready to start. He's been out for 5.5 weeks, I think it is. So today is going to be the first session with the team, so he'll train again tomorrow probably, and then come into contention on Sunday. But Slot did say Conor Bradley's been out a long time as well and is not ready to play 90 minutes. So I think we'll see a similar thing to what we observed in game week 32, which was Bradley starting and then coming off at what was it, 60 odd
Yeah.
minutes, which worked out good last week because he banked a clean sheet before what Liverpool conceded. So it might be a case of that again. So obviously Bradley's good for this week, but beyond that, uh, concerns about game time. Gomez, I think, is the only one who's out of the Liverpool squad as far as we're aware.
Okay. Let's move on to the last game of this round. Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. Tottenham, again, success in Europe, which I think has a nice knock-on effect for the potential of a double game week in 36 due to the fixture scheduling. So well done, Spurs, from all of us. What's the latest there?
Well, there is no latest, actually. Postecoglou, we have not got a time on him yet.
Okay.
And it's definitely not an embargoed section because he was up out of his chair last night. So I wonder if this is one of the lesser spotted Saturday morning press conferences because Spurs are in action on Monday. So they've got an extra few days. So you might see Ange talking over the weekend. What we do know, Danso returned as a substitute last night. Dragison's still out for the season. Son missed out against Wolves and again last night with I think it was a toe injury or a foot injury, something lower limb, and obviously he's still a doubt for the weekend. Madison came off at half time and said he's fine, suffered a big knock. But that is as much as we know from Spurs because we haven't yet heard from Ange.
Okay. Meanwhile, for Nottingham Forest as well, what's the latest there?
Yeah, this was yesterday, covered by Tom, and the most predictable update of the week again from Nuno. He was talking about Ola Aina and Taiwo Awani, who are the two remaining players on the injury list. And guess which word he used to say about those two? He said, we're going to have to assess. So there it is again.
Okay.
Assessing, assessed. You'll see that every week. And it's going to be day by day. He did add that neither player was in training as of Thursday, so that doesn't sound too good.
No.
But they do have an extra few days because it's a Monday night match.
Okay.
He also mentioned Chris Wood as well, who came back last weekend from a hip injury. He says we have to manage him because he's been out for a while, but he's better this week than he was last week. So it's like another start and maybe at worst an earlier substitution.
Okay, I'll try and round up most of that as well. So available, we could see Clivert back, Matoma could be back for Brighton, Lavia for Chelsea, Foden and Akanji might get some minutes from Man City, Lindelof and Mazraoui back for Manchester United. Whether they start or not, another matter. Questionable, Alexander-Arnold not going to start, but could see some minutes for him there. McNeil's got an injury, he might miss out. Anucci at Southampton, ankle problem might keep him out. Wan-Bissaka's got a toe issue. It seems more likely he'll start because he's sort of having an injection for that. But there is still a question mark there. Hwang, Doherty and Bellegarde as well are possible doubts for Wolves. Liam Delap might miss out on a start, but I think he's back in training. And Son, as far as we know, he's got a foot issue that gives him a sort of question mark over him there. Major doubts. Aina and Awonyi, we just heard they're not back in training yet, but they do have a few more days, so they might be more on the questionable side. Definitely out. Botman, I put Botman in there because he's now sort of starting to step up his recovery a bit more. We might start seeing him soon for the recovery from a knee problem. Jorginho's definitely out for Arsenal with a rib problem. Calafiore's out with a knee problem. Ederson's groin problem is going to keep him out of the next match. And Hutchinson for Ipswich is going to miss out with a hamstring issue. I think I've got most of the key ones there. So thanks so much for joining me. Good luck in the next game week. Good luck all those watching and listening. We'll be back next week to look ahead to game week 34 when, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be free hitting for hopefully some points and no disappointment. But take care. See you soon.
Thanks, Julia. Bye, everybody, and see you next week.